Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll give it 30 seconds while people join and then we will kick off straight away. Nice to see you, Mitch. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad. I will do a proper intro for you shortly. I'll just let everyone jump in first. But without further ado, let's get started. So, welcome everybody to the first of our expert fireside sessions, where we will have four brilliant firms revealing the secrets behind their growth. I am Katie Graham, the head of partnerships and growth here at Telaroo. And before I properly introduce today's guest, I will just do a little bit of housekeeping. So there is a Q&A box at the bottom. Please do add any questions in there. If you are too shy, feel free to message me privately. I'm happy to pick those up afterwards as well. Use the chat, share your thoughts, agree with us, disagree with us, just no heckling, please. And the other thing just to call out is that the following three sessions will also be happening on the rest of the Tuesdays in May. So that's the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, all at 4 p.m. So please do join us for those as well. But without further ado, let's dive in. And today's guest is Mitch Hahn, the wonderful CEO of Nordens Chartered Accountants. So, Mitch, thank you for joining us. I guess I'm keen to start off just with a little bit about your journey to CEO and how you first started out with Nordens, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, thanks for inviting me on. And I don't mind heckling for anyone who is watching. And thank you for calling me wonderful. So that's three good things. Yeah, so I mean, my journey is probably not the typical accountant's journey. I came from professional sport and came at a time in my life where I was a bit lost, didn't really know what to do. And my dad always said, if you want to be successful, become an accountant. And how wrong that he was. Right? But no, he always said that. So I kind of tried to find a local firm, and I was only about 19 at the time. And found Mark Norden. And for those who don't know, Mark obviously is the founder of Nordens. But it was called Mark Norden and Co. at the time. It was just Mark and his border collie dog that used to come into the office, which was nice. They're good times. And yeah, Mark basically said to me, if you want to come here, you can study. So I started my journey there. And it's been a bit of a journey. I think it was yeah, I mean, there's some stories that I can't really share on here, just when I was sort of that age and I was, yeah. But I mean, fast forward how that was, I was 19. I'm not going to say my age, but it was fast forward.
Five
Oh,
years ago, surely.
yeah, it was only 5 years ago. Yeah, exactly. Fast forward, yeah, I mean, we're sort of top 100 firm, just uh 65, 70, in between 65 and 70 people. Not, I mean, I'm not going to use the word partner, which I'm sure we'll come into because we're not a partner-led firm. But yeah, we're a great size, got great people, and it's been a hell of a journey.
Love it. Love it, love it,
Yeah.
love it. I've always admired your journey because
That's
it's
a
definitely
nutshell,
not.
by the way. I could go on about the whole story and the journey. It's been pretty wild, but amazing at the same time and changing as
100%.
well.
I've always admired that from when we first met, that I think your journey has been so untraditional but yet so successful, and I think that's why I'm always so keen to get you talking and talking about the experiences and what you've learned and what's been different, because you haven't necessarily followed the standard route to doing
No,
lots of
known you a
things.
long time now.
I know, too long at this
I
point.
know.
But before we get into the growth, I'm just going to launch a poll for everybody on here, and that is just to understand whether year-on-year growth is actually a top priority for you and your firm at the moment. So have a little vote. Let us know whether that is important for you at the moment, if it's top priority, if it's amongst other priorities, etc., etc. But Mitch, you touched on there the fact that Norton is not a partner-led firm.
Yeah.
You guys are structured differently. How are you structured, and why is that?
Um, I mean, we're set up as a company, we're director led, and we've got an executive board. A few reasons. I think it really, I mean, if you look at the traditional accountancy firm, they're set up as a partner led business. There's no way really that you can scale and create a business. It's very reliant on one person or the partner, which is quite tough, and you all of a sudden bought yourself a really time consuming job. So the way we're structured is director-led. We've got sort of COO, CEO, financial. So we're set up like a tech firm, right? With an executive board, different, we're departmentalized with senior managers, and we like to bring people through. I think the benefit is that it really empowers sort of young team members from early on in their life to be part of the journey. They get to work. I mean, we've got so many young people in the office that have had such client exposure from such a young age, and it's amazing. So it really allows us to progress as a firm and create longevity where business isn't sort of reliant on us. Not only that, the clients can go directly to the specialist as well. So if there's a VAT issue, they can speak to someone directly in VAT. And yeah, it's not really, I try not to create that. I mean, accountancy, I worked in the, well, originally we were, when we were smaller, we were sort of, traditional, a little bit more traditional, but it's very factory orientated. Work comes in, you get it done, it goes out. And if anything good happens, or sorry, if anything bad happens, the partner in a traditional firm, the partner gets the brunt of it, which is fine. But if anything good happens, the partner gets the brunt of it. And what you've actually got, right, is you've got some really great people that are having client exposure, and we're getting testimonials all the time and stuff from 25, 26-year-olds that have had 10, sometimes 10 years experience, who are,
That I think
accountable
is
for what they do. It's great.
that's huge because I speak to so many partner-led firms all the time who are talking about their trainees, they're talking about their young team members, and they either are not getting any client-facing exposure at all, or they are starting to let them, but it's so controlled because they're really, really worried about giving them that, I guess, trust and freedom to do that. How do you guys as a leadership team overcome that and just give people the trust and the autonomy to have those conversations?
We've got a training team here, which we've created. And yeah, I think it came from sort of experiencing it myself. And, we've just mirrored what we've experienced. So if you look at all our directors or owners, we all started when we were quite young, and we were in the same position. So it's just sort of sitting in meetings, sort of, the review process isn't just review, it's like explanations, it's people joining meetings, and it's also hiring the right people as well. There's lots of people that you know that have skills and communication ability. I mean, that's part of the problem, is the communication ability, to the ability to communicate, I would say, is where we've really sort of where we've really sort of, we're miles ahead, really, I think. But yeah, I think it's just the case of training and giving people exposure with, we're never going to go and stick a young trainee to lead a meeting straight away. There will need to be there's a system that we have, but yeah, it won't be long before they do.
Definitely. And I think that's so important. And like you said, I think when we think about like the scalability piece, if all of those important conversations are being had at like partner level or director level, you're capped at your capacity, right? The more of those people you can get having great conversations, the better, right?
I mean, it's got to a point where we'd rather bring in someone who we can train up than hire someone who's already in sort of that has that experience and so on, because it proves really valuable like that. We can train them our way.
Definitely, definitely. Good to see we've got 100% of people are looking to grow, and it is a top priority. It's either their main objective or it is important, but among other priorities this year, which is great to see. One of the teams that you guys do have at Nordens is your client success team. For other people on the call, can you give us a bit of an overview of what their role is and what makes them different?
Everyone seems to be interested in our client success team.
They are
oh,
great.
I know, but then I'll have to give away all our secrets. It's one of the departments that we have that really, I would say, differentiate us from most other accountants. It's nothing, it's not really as exciting as it sounds. It's a business development team, but business development is really where I've kind of, I love business development. For me, speaking with new business owners, solving problems, trying to help business owners is my passion.
Yeah.
So it's effectively, we've got three people in, I'm going to call it business development because I call it client success because ultimately that's what we try and achieve. But it is effectively, I don't want to confuse things. It is business development. And ultimately they just literally love speaking to new people, problem solving. Um, Most accountants have either a sales team, right? Or, but they don't really, they just sit there and they just want to sell, 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 sell. Whereas I would say our BD team are all about problem solving. They have the same passion that I have, which is meeting new people and really help them achieve something, whatever that may be. But it's not just for potential clients, it's for current clients as well. If there's
Yeah,
an issue with a current client, they're straight on it. I don't even need to ask them. They're just like straight on it, especially that's unfair actually. But Paula, who as well, she's on it. She loves it. And they win so much business because of it. I think there was one, I was at,
100%.
when I saw you at the digital accountancy show, an accountant came up to me after and said that, oh, I saw Nordens and, we pitched for a new business and we didn't get it. You got it. And I was like, oh, who did you pitch against? And they said, Paula. And I was like, yeah, no wonder you didn't get it. Like she has a true passion. And the problem is other accountants, which is, again, this is kind of the reason why our client success team does well is accountants can't really sell the tradition. I'm sorry if you are an accountant that can sell, but it is very, they can't. And we have people that are accountants by trade and really can sell and have a passion for solving people's problems.
And I think that's what it is, right? I think even now, like a lot of the time, you look at an accountancy firm's website and there's a list of services, but those services don't mean a lot to a business owner, right? And actually, like you say, that's where those conversations come in of actually what are the problems that we're trying to solve? How do we help you do that? And then, yes, there is a service line that matches up to that we're going to put on your proposal, but actually, it's about the problem that we're solving and how we get there for you.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. I mean, if you had the conversations they have are phenomenal. They're brilliant. And I would say that compliance is secondary for us. They don't like compliance is the standard. If any accountant can't file a set of accounts, there's a problem. If any accountant can't run the payroll, there's a problem. Their main focus is what you're trying to achieve and how can we help you achieve it.
100%, which is why I adore you guys because it is exactly that, right? It's business owners don't set up businesses because they really want to sit and talk about compliance, right? They did it for whatever their why was, and that's what your team are helping get them to. So, nothing but admiration for that. But I guess thinking about the growth that you guys have had, then, what do you think has been the key factor behind that?
I mean, there's so many, but you'd probably say that mindset is and vision and mindset is probably the key. I think
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a mindset that you want to grow. Firstly, a lot of people say it, but they don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of accountants I've spoken to and said, "Oh, I want to grow," and it's like, "Do you? Do you really want to grow?" And then you speak to them like a few years later, and they're in the same place, and it's like you don't want to grow. So I think it's to have a mindset that you want to grow, you believe you can grow, and doing it for the right reasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we didn't plan to grow originally as quick as we did. It was just purely the fact that we had the mindset of wanting to help business owners. It came at the time where accountants and advisory, it wasn't, everyone said they were business advisors, but
Yep.
they weren't. And we just got loads and loads of business for it. And it just became like, wow, this is amazing. All we're doing is providing an amazing service. But it all comes from the original mindset. And then I think it's having the vision. I think once we kind of really learned that really we were providing such a great service, then it comes from what you actually want to achieve and a bit of strategy and a bit of sort of the clear goal and vision from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts first with the mind, I think, and believing you can and wanting to do it.
And if you've got a firm owner that is thinking like, I do want that, but I'm feeling like a little bit in a rut, what would be your advice of how to get into the right mindset and get
I'd
into that frame of mind?
start at the end. I'd start at the end and I'd go, well, actually, or when I say the end, I mean over a period of time. Like, what do I want my business to look like in a couple of? We do it with so many accountants. We've actually started to pick up quite a few accountants as clients to provide this sort of service. And
Yeah.
um, I think our plans to help sort of make the industry thrive at the end of the day. And I think that for me, I think the biggest tip would be to start at the end and sort of go
Hmm.
right and break it down. So 5 years. What do I want my business to look like in 5 years? Then 2 years. 2 years is a good place to start. Work out what it needs to look like. Work backwards to where you are now. Then work out exactly the number of clients that you want to get, and also the type of clients, because you don't want and once you start drilling, it all starts to become clearer and you can start really painting a good picture.
Definitely. And I think you guys have been really good at like keeping laser focused on that, right? And not letting other people's ideas of what is and isn't achievable affect kind of your goals and where you think you're going to go, right?
Well, I come from a sporting background and I'm competitive. So when someone tells me that, and I know you heard me say this at the show, when someone tells me I can't do something, I can't rest unless it fuels my fire to actually wanting to prove them wrong, providing it's what I want to do. But
Yeah.
if someone tells me I can't do something, no, it drives me mad. But
Yeah, see, growing up, I got called stubborn, and yet somehow you've managed to spin it into this like really positive mindset that everyone wants.
well, it is a little bit stubborn, isn't it? It is stubborn, but competitive is probably a word that I would use. I think it's really
That's my
important.
new response when someone says I'm stubborn. I say no, I'm just competitive.
But no, but another thing as well is that when people say it's unrealistic, that's another thing that really, really drives me mad. And,
Hmm.
and that's something that makes me want to. There's nothing. I think that so long as you've got a vision, as long as you've got an end goal and you know what you want to achieve, creating a plan to get there is really simple, and following the
Yeah,
plan is even easier. You just got to
definitely.
believe it, and that comes from the mindset.
100%. Couldn't agree more. We had, as I say, 100% of people saying that they were looking to grow this year. So I'm just going to launch a poll around how they're intending to achieve that. Is that attracting new clients? Is it fee increases? Is it upselling? Is it acquisitions? Or is it something else? And if it's something else, please let us know what it is. But on that note, Mitch, one of the more recent things that you guys did was an acquisition.
Yeah,
And I'm really keen just to understand how that came about in the first place.
I'd love to be able to give you a really exciting story about how it came about, but there is nothing exciting to it. Um, I mean, we were looking. We focus so much on organic growth and we focus so much on getting our own systems in order and stuff like that. It came to a point where it was like, we're in a position now where why don't we look at an acquisition and just
Mhm.
we've done a couple in the past, but that's from people coming to us saying, "Can you help us? We want to get out."
Yeah.
But we thought let's proactively go and find one. So we were actually talking to another firm somewhere, and we'd done a deal actually, and then it fell through for whatever reason. But then someone approached us about a firm in the city, and it's something we've always kind of wanted to explore, having a city office, which was,
Hmm.
I mean, now we've got one, like getting there is a bit of a nightmare. Get on the track. But yeah, we've always wanted to, yeah, and it just came about. I met about 80 different firms of accountants, by the way,
Wow.
when we were doing it. And we met someone called Sean from a firm called Lewis and Co. based in Farringdon. And we just really clicked. We really liked her. I hope she liked us. And it just kind of went from there. And it's allowed us to merge sort of into become city based, and it's been good. But yeah, it's no exciting story really. Sorry.
And on that, you said like you spoke to like 80 different firm owners, right?
Yeah.
So what was it that you were thinking about? What was it that you were looking for when you were going through that process?
Character, culture. I think the number and I mean everyone does their due diligence into the numbers, right? That's something that you just it's standard. There's no point of even talking about it. But when you're meeting these firms of accountants, for me it was the case of would they fit in with our culture? We focus so much on our brand and our culture internally, and also our external brand now. Obviously, we've brought Ashley in, but it's if it needs to fit. So I mean, I fell asleep on a lot of the calls I was on. Honestly, it was so draining. It was, and I'm sorry if you're listening and I didn't speak to you. You were probably one of the most draining ones. But no, honestly, it was really draining. It was tough, but like I think we just knew when we met Sean, we just knew it was just right. And I actually played football recently, and she came to watch the game, and which was
No, I
nice as
know.
well. So you see what I mean? There's that sort of synergy and that, yeah, personable approach. So yeah, no, that
Love
was
that.
characters really really good, I think. I mean, there's a lot more, but
Of course.
that's the
And
first thing that
flip
draws that
side,
attracts you to it.
other than being boring, what were the red flags? What were the things that made you walk away straight away?
Huh. Um, by the way, I didn't say necessarily, I didn't use the word boring.
I
I
paraphrased
said
to
I said
boring.
yeah, I just said culture wasn't aligned.
Yeah,
What would the red flags have been? Good question. So those people that couldn't provide their numbers, which was, send us across the last accounts, because obviously you need to look at them, and it took like 3 months for it to come across. You think you're an
right.
accountant, like you need to, um, that was one. I think culture was key. I mean, we went to some offices as well, sort of had a look
Yeah,
secretly. Um, and some of it was just bad, like bad vibes, bad energy. I
right.
think it all depends, and all, yeah, I think that's probably the two main things. I mean, there's more like numbers didn't add up, and very, very partner reliant as well. As in,
Yeah,
if it's all focused on you and you want to get out, like you're not really leaving much chance
yeah,
for a firm to come in and keep all the clients. The handover process, you're going to end up be what you get, you're going to end up working double as hard to keep the clients.
yeah, 100%. They're
So
basically new clients, right? But okay, that makes sense. And post acquisition, that's obviously all happened now. What would you say has been the biggest challenge?
the biggest one. Um, so I think I'm going to go client experience, because I think
Yeah,
we focus so much on our client experience. We want people to work with us and have a certain experience and be, really feel part of the Nordens, or part of the brand, part of the approach. We like to communicate as much as we can, and whether that's by sort of giving information, or giving them a call, and just sort of, we like to just stay in touch. I guess that's another reason. I mean, I'd like to think most accountants do that, but actually what I found out is that they don't. But yeah, so client experience, you can't really win. So like when you get used to something, you're used to a sort of route, you're used to a sort of service. So when we've come in, we've gone straight into that whole, like, communication, trying to, give this amazing service, but they're not used to that. So actually we were getting phone calls being like, you're what, take us off this list, stop calling us. We're like, but we're your accountants. And they're like, I don't care, I only want to speak to you once or twice a year. It's crazy. Don't get me wrong, he's educated. So I think like that's been our biggest challenge.
yeah,
And I think that if we were to do it again, it would be sort of education, and it's like when you meet a dog for the first time. And I'm not calling the clients dogs, but if you're over friendly and over
yeah,
familiar, they're really sort of cautious of you.
yeah,
And but yeah, if you're not, they're really cautious of you. So you can't. It's quite a
a
tough one.
hundred
So
percent.
I'd say that's been our biggest challenge. I mean, we've overcome it, um, but that's our biggest one, I think.
Which makes complete sense, right? I think, like you say, the clients that were already with you guys, that's what they signed up for. They knew what they were getting and they were super
Yeah,
excited about it, right? And actually, the ones that have come across, it is a change and it is a shift for them. And I think, like you say, whether you're doing the right thing, the wrong thing, something in the middle, it's going to be different either way. And I think that's what is uncomfortable for people, isn't it? It's just change and it's something different.
yeah, yeah.
Other than that, any surprises or feel like you managed to tick all the boxes beforehand, so there was nothing that jumped out?
I mean, there's always surprises. Things always come up, but I guess that's the reason that we're structured how we are. We've got
Yeah,
a COO or an operations director who well, Darren. He and Joe. To be fair, Joe actually led the project mainly with Darren.
nice.
But they were so good. Like, and they've got the experience. They're both accountants. They both love tech. Darren more so, but like there was loads of things that came up, but we
Yeah.
resolved quickly. And I think when you're structured in the way that we are, we can resolve things quickly. And that's another reason why, and I'm sort of going backwards to one of the first questions, but we can, yeah, we can resolve things pretty quick because it goes directly to that person rather than waiting for someone to respond to all their emails before they get to the problem. But yeah, but always
100%.
surprises. I can't really remember what they were because they were resolved so quickly, which
Which
is
I think,
great.
like you say, is testament to the team and the way that things are set up, right? And it just shows that having that structure from the start means that even as you grow, as you do the acquisitions, that stuff continually comes back and shows you that you made the right decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. In terms of how people on the call are intending to achieve that growth, predominantly through attracting new clients, fee increases, and then a couple in there looking to upsell clients to new services and acquire another firm as well. So we'll undoubtedly be going through a lot of the processes that you did there. The top one there was attracting new clients. I
Mm.
just want to touch on your decision to bring in Ashley, who you mentioned earlier, in a CMO position, which is, again, a very unusual choice for a lot of accountancy firms, but key in terms of attracting those clients.
Has she
What
asked you
made
to
you
ask
do
this?
that?
Has she
She
asked?
didn't. She
No.
didn't. If I'd given her the chance, she probably would have asked me to ask it. So I'll ask it now
Yeah.
anyway.
So go on. So ask me the question again. It was what
Yeah,
attracted.
so what made you make that decision, right? There are lots of firms out there that may have a person that works in marketing or they may outsource it to someone else. What made you guys put the investment behind
Do you know
hiring
what?
a
It's
CMO?
so funny because I was having this chat this morning with Ashley, and it was like a bit of a debate. And it's funny because everyone who wants to grow their business turns around and says, I need marketing, or you should invest in marketing. What is marketing, right? It is such a broad word.
Yeah,
No one knows what, like, everyone who has their own perception of marketing, it will be, well, marketing social media, oh, marketing's content, oh, marketing's that. It's so broad. And and I've been there, I've hired people in marketing and they look to you for guidance. You're like, I don't know, you're
yeah,
supposed to be the marketing person. I don't know what that means. So it's so tough.
yeah,
And I'm sure some people have got it right. But for us, it was the case of we've been through such a journey with marketing. We outsourced it as well at one point. And I think what it was pretty obvious that we never had guidance. We didn't really know. We didn't really have a strategy. In our head, it was marketing's marketing. You should be able to market. Like what? Like I said, no one really knows what it was.
hmm,
Ashley's been someone who we've admired for a long time in the industry. She doesn't come from an accounting industry, which is something I would, to any accountant that's watching, stop following the accounting industry. Look for, I mean, she did come from a firm of accountants, but she's not, her background isn't accountancy. So I think it's sports as well, to
it
be fair.
is sport as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't follow the accounting industry. So I sat down with, I spoke to Ashley first. I found out she was available. I can't remember how. I'm not, but yeah, so, and I explained to her that, listen, we provide a great service. We really focus a lot on our brand and so on, but I don't know where to go from here. And I'm, just brutally honest. I don't know where to go. This is where we want to get to as
yeah,
a business. I don't know. I know we need marketing, but I don't know what that is. And to
yeah.
be fair, she's taken it, she's kind of put the strategy together. She's really come up with what I was looking for from like the whole strategy perspective and so on. And yeah, it's been really, really good. But
100%. 100%. It's been fantastic to watch and see, and even seeing some of the stuff that's coming out since she joined is just fab.
always hire people that are smarter than you in the right seats. That's another thing I'd say as well. That's one thing we've got great
Precisely.
at. Yeah. Yeah.
Precisely. I think two things on that. The first is for anyone watching that is maybe a little bit earlier in their journey. The session that I am doing on
Yeah.
the 21st of May is with an accountant called Grace Hardy, who is very much at the start of her journey and has really used social media to start growing her client base. So definitely tune into that one if it's of interest. And the second thing is the point you mentioned around hiring people from outside of the industry. And that I think is absolutely huge. I think about the transferable skills, think about what you really want someone to do and then where those skills are going to come from. And it doesn't necessarily have to be accounting. If they need to sit and file tax returns, etc., then yeah, probably. But actually, if it's for some of the other stuff around marketing, around better client conversations, around sales, etc., there are so many people in so many industries that have great skills that they could really bring, and I think shake up a lot of what we see every single day. Amazing. One last poll I'm going to pop up for everyone, which is just around what improvements people feel they need to make in order to achieve the growth that they want, whether that's attracting the right leads in the first place, converting them through a sales cycle, onboarding them, delivering their services, retaining clients, growing the team, whatever it might be. Keen to see what people say there. But before we wrap up and give people a chance to ask any questions, I want to ask you, Mitch, what is either your biggest tip for leaders in accounting today or a tip that you would have given yourself when you first started out?
Which one? Because there's two.
Either or, you
Um,
choose.
my biggest tip for leaders in the accounting industry today, and when you mean leaders, do you mean sort of people owning their own practices, right? Yeah. I'd say stop answering business advice with accountancy advice and train your staff to do the same. Too many times I hear we pick up loads of clients from business owners going to their accountants saying, I'm going for business advice, and all I get is accountancy advice in return. So that would be probably the biggest tip from a work perspective. With regards to sort of leading and stuff, I'd say always hire if you are planning to grow, really start with the end, and that, like, be as detailed as you like and work backwards, and also hire people that are smarter than you and put people in the right seats. Put people smarter than you in the right seats. That's been key for me. Yeah, that would
I
be.
think that's huge. And I think that's something you have done so very well is to know your strengths and know where you play incredibly well and then bring in an incredible team around you to fill the gaps, right? I think that's been a huge testament to you and the success that Nordens have seen. In terms of that poll, it's looking like people are struggling with attracting and converting. So very much marketing and sales, right? Which I think is in line with what we expect. It's that, yeah, typically our accountant bookkeeping community are not salespeople by nature and they're not marketers by nature. And I think that just screams into what you were saying about bringing in the right people to sit in those seats and do those jobs where they can. And I appreciate early on in the journey,
And
sometimes that's not possible, but as soon as you
but by
can,
the way,
do it.
though, listen, we didn't just wake up and get an operations director. We didn't just wake up and get a chief marketing officer. We've been on a mad journey. We started from the start. I joined when we were turning over 50,000. Like I
Yeah.
and it was me, Mark, and a dog. But literally, so you have to go on a journey, and
Yeah.
those people that you have then aren't necessarily going to be the people that you would get now. And when you start, you have to put your different hats on in different areas, your marketing hat on, then your sales hat on, and you might have to do things that you don't like to do. But when you get there and you prove the concept, and you can really start to do it. And like I said, you might find the right person for then. If we'd have hired Ashley 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been the right time. We'd have failed, but we got in on a crazy journey, and at the right time, we got her, and that's just using her as an example. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I'm conscious of time, so I'm just going to fire one question at you from Q&A, which is just in terms of bringing people into the business, how do you make sure that they continue to live the values that you have set out?
Um, yeah, so we've got we do in the interview process, we do so it's how do we carry on with it. So we do branding days as well. We do branding days internally. We have what's called a branding book. So when everyone does something good, it goes in the branding book for the whole office to see. But it has to be based on a value, one of our core values, and people are targeted with them as well, which is set up by our head of people, Sharon. She's really great. Appraisal systems. I mean, there's something we're bringing in as well called Office Vibe. I mean, we did used to use employer engagement multiplier, but it's just, I mean, I'm sure they're great but they're for what you want, for what people want them for. But for us, it was just too sort of,
I'm a big Office Vibe fan.
yeah, it was just really sort of questionnaires and stuff, just quite boring. But try and keep things fun. That's what we try and do. So yeah, I mean, we do like days out, just things to keep the office live and just bouncy, and people
I
will
think that's
follow.
what it is. And I think
Yeah.
like something you haven't mentioned, but like your team get a lot of relative to other firms, they get a lot of face time with your leadership team. they get a lot of, like, they've got direct access to you. They can pick up the phone to you. They can send you a message. They can have those conversations. And I think that speaks volumes to the culture as well, because you see a lot of people talk about open door policies and that kind of stuff, but it's often not lived. Whereas you, as a leadership team, are all very, very present for people
The
to see that.
we with the branding book, the quarterly branding book, which we have a quarterly champion for, who win something and they get like a trip away or something like that. When I say a trip away, they go to, like, you know, we don't send them to Dubai, not yet. Hopefully in the future at some point. But yeah, like the branding book is massive for us. Like everyone, but people can't write it about themselves. So people are sharing stuff. It really creates that. And like I said, it has to be value driven. So
100%.
every entry has to have a value attached to it, more or two or three, whatever it are. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so, so much for joining us today and sharing all of that wonderful wisdom. If people want to connect with you or find you or message you, is LinkedIn the best place for that?
Yeah, LinkedIn's fine.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you all very much for joining us today. As I say, the next sessions will be the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, all at 4 p.m. as well. Mitch, a pleasure as always. Thank
Thanks,
you very much
Kaylee.
for your time. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you later.